Welcome to my channel. My friends, have you ever tried to speak English, but the words just refuse to come out? You know what you want to say in your mind, but your tongue freezes. Don't worry, you're not alone. I used to feel the same. But today, I'll show you the easy way to talk in English. Not through grammar books, but through small, real steps that truly work. Comment below. Do you ever feel nervous when speaking English? Chapter 1. When speaking feels impossible. I still remember the first time I tried to speak English. The words were in my head, but they refused to come out. My mouth opened, but nothing came. My heart was beating fast. My palms were wet. I wanted to say something simple like, "Hello, how are you?" But my voice got lost somewhere between my mind and my tongue. People around me spoke easily. They laughed. They answered quickly. But I just stood there, silent. Have you ever felt that? That feeling when English becomes a wall you can't climb? I know exactly how that feels. At school, English was like a big mountain in front of me. The teacher spoke fast, and I tried hard to follow, but all the words mixed together like noise. Sometimes I understood one word, sometimes none. I looked at my classmates, and they nodded like they understood everything. I felt small. I felt slow. I told myself, maybe English is not for me. But deep inside, I wanted to speak. I wanted to open my mouth and sound confident. I wanted to join the conversation and not hide behind silence. Every time someone said, "Can you speak English?" I smiled nervously and said, "A little." That little sentence hurt me. I wanted to say more, but fear kept me quiet. I was scared of making mistakes. I was scared people would laugh. I was scared I would sound stupid. That fear became my biggest enemy. It was not grammar. It was not vocabulary. It was fear. One day, I remember sitting in the corner of my room, listening to a video in English. I didn't understand much, but something strange happened. I realized that even if I didn't understand every word, I could still feel the meaning. The people in the video were talking with emotion. Their faces showed what they felt. I noticed how they moved their hands, how they smiled, how they spoke with rhythm. And that moment changed something inside me. I thought, maybe speaking English is not about knowing all the words. Maybe it's about courage. From that day, I began to listen more. I didn't force myself to understand everything. I just listened. I listened to the way words sounded together. I repeated small phrases quietly to myself. Sometimes I got them wrong, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make English my friend, not my fear. And slowly, something started to change. My tongue began to move easier. My fear started to fade a little. It wasn't magic, it was just small courage growing day by day. I also started watching people who spoke English fluently. I noticed something interesting. They didn't speak perfectly either. They paused. They said, and They sometimes forgot words. But they didn't stop. They kept talking. That was the difference. I was silent because I wanted to be perfect. They were fluent because they were brave. That truth hit me hard. The easy way to talk in English is not about being perfect. It's about being fearless. So I started with the easiest thing I could do. I began talking to myself. Just small things like, "I am tired. It is raining. I want tea." These sentences were simple, but they were powerful. For the first time, I was hearing my own voice in English. It felt strange at first, but slowly it felt good. My fear began to lose power over me. I realized I didn't need a classroom to start. I didn't need a teacher every time. I just needed myself, my voice, and a little bit of time every day. But let me be honest, it wasn't always easy. Some days I felt stuck. Some days I thought I was not improving. I compared myself to others and felt weak again. But then I remembered why I started. I wanted to speak freely. I wanted to express myself. I didn't want English to be a dream anymore. I wanted it to be my real voice. So I kept going, even when it felt slow. I remember one evening, I was sitting at dinner, and suddenly I said something in English without thinking. It was just a small sentence, but everyone looked at me. They smiled and said, "Wow, you're improving at." That one moment gave me so much hope. It was the proof that even small efforts count. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, if I can say one sentence today, maybe tomorrow I can say two. That's when I realized something very important. The beginning is always the hardest, but it's also the most beautiful part of your journey. Because that's when you are learning courage. You're not just learning English, you're learning to believe in yourself. Every time you try, you are breaking your own limits. Every small word you speak is a victory. So, if you are watching this and thinking, I can't speak English, remember this: you can. You are just afraid now. But fear is not forever. Start small. Speak one word, then one sentence. Don't worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a sign that you're growing. The easy way starts with one step, and that step is believing that you can do it. Stay with me till the end of this video, because in the next chapter, I'll show you how listening, something so simple, can completely change the way you speak English. You'll see how just hearing English daily can open a new door in your mind. Chapter 2. The secret starts with listening. When I finally stopped fighting with English and started listening to it, everything began to change. I didn't open a grammar book. I didn't try to memorize long rules. I just listened. At first, it sounded like a river I couldn't control. Fast, noisy, full of strange words flowing past me. But after some time, I noticed something magical. My brain began to catch small sounds, small patterns, small meanings. It was like my ears were waking up. Many learners make the same mistake I made. We try to speak before we can even hear properly. We want to say perfect sentences without training our ears. But speaking is not the first step. Listening is. When a baby learns to talk, what does it do first? It listens. For months, it just listens. It watches faces, feels emotions, and slowly starts to copy. That's exactly how we can learn English, by listening like children again, without pressure, without fear. I started by listening to short things. Not big lectures, not hard podcasts, just small things I could understand. Children's stories, English songs, cartoon shows. I played them again and again. Sometimes I didn't understand everything, but I didn't stop. I told myself, just listen, let the words touch your ears. Slowly, my ears began to recognize the rhythm of English, the rise and fall, the soft and strong sounds. I realized English is like music. Once you feel its rhythm, speaking becomes easier. One night, I listened to the same cartoon 3 times in a row. The first time, I understood maybe 2 words. The second time, I understood 5. The third time, I started to guess what was coming next. That small progress made me so happy. It showed me that listening is not about understanding everything. It's about getting familiar with the sound of English. When your brain hears something again and again, it learns naturally. You don't even realize it's happening. I also discovered that listening every day is more powerful than studying for hours once a week. Even 10 minutes daily can make your tongue move more easily later. Because the more you hear English, the more your brain builds patterns. It remembers how sentences start, how they end, how words connect. Then when you speak, those patterns come out automatically. You don't have to think so hard. You don't translate. You just speak. At first, I didn't believe this. But one morning, something surprising happened. I was walking to school, listening to a story on my phone. A woman in the story said, "I'm late again, and without thinking, I repeated it. My mouth just said it on its own. I didn't plan it. That's when I realized, listening trains your mouth too. When your ears know the sound, your tongue starts to copy naturally. That's the real secret. Sometimes I listened while cooking, sometimes while walking, sometimes before sleeping. English became part of my day. It was no longer a subject. It became a friend whispering in my ear. I noticed small changes. I understood people better. I caught words in movies. I started replying in simple English without fear. My listening habit built invisible strength inside me. Of course, there were days I felt bored. Days when the same sentences sounded too easy or too hard. But I reminded myself, even when you don't see progress, your brain is still learning. It's like planting a seed. You water it every day, but you don't see the roots growing. Then suddenly one day, a small green leaf appears. That leaf is your first real sentence. That's your fluency starting to grow. One trick that helped me a lot was shadowing. I would listen to a short line and repeat it at the same time as the speaker. I didn't worry if I was perfect. I just tried to match the rhythm. It made me feel like I was part of the conversation. Slowly, my pronunciation improved, my confidence grew, and my voice started sounding more natural. Listening and repeating, that's how babies learn. That's how we can too. I also learned to choose what I love to hear, because when you enjoy it, you stay longer. I listened to stories about dreams, courage, and people changing their lives. The emotion in those stories made me remember words faster. Your heart helps your memory. When you feel the story, you remember the English. Now, when learners ask me, what's the easy way to start speaking, I always say, start by listening. Listen to songs, short stories, or even your favorite movies. Don't translate, just feel. Let English flow through you like water. One day, without even trying, you'll find the words coming out of your mouth. You'll surprise yourself. You'll think, wait, did I just say that in English? That moment is beautiful. It's freedom. So if speaking English feels hard right now, don't force it. Be gentle with yourself. Just listen. Listen every day, even for a few minutes. Your brain is smarter than you think. It's building your English silently inside you. Soon, it will speak for you. Stay with me, because in the next chapter, we'll take this secret even further. I'll show you how starting with simple words, not big grammar, not complicated sentences, can help you finally speak English easily and confidently. Chapter 3. Start with simple words, not perfect sentences. When I first started learning English, I wanted to sound perfect. I wanted to speak like the people I saw on TV, fast, confident, and smooth. But the more I tried, the more nervous I became. Every time I opened my mouth, I thought about grammar rules. I tried to remember long sentences I had memorized. And guess what happened? I forgot everything. My brain froze, and my heart sank. That day, I learned one of the biggest truths about learning English. You don't need to start big, you need to start simple. At that time, I thought simple words were too small. I thought if I didn't use long sentences, people would laugh at me. But later, I discovered that simple English is powerful English. Native speakers use simple words all the time. Good, nice, happy, want, like, need. The difference is how naturally they use them. They don't try to be perfect, they just express what they feel. That's what fluency really means. Not perfection, but expression. One day, I decided to stop chasing perfect grammar. I took a notebook and wrote only easy words, words I already knew. I wrote things like I, you, eat, sleep, go, come, water, tea, book, friend. Then I started building small sentences. I eat rice. I like tea. I go to school. These sentences were short, but they gave me confidence. When I said them aloud, I felt progress. I was finally speaking English without fear. It was simple, but it was real. At first, it felt strange. I thought, this is too easy. How can I improve if I only speak simple English? But then I noticed something interesting. When I stopped worrying about mistakes, I started speaking more. When I spoke more, I got better. The fear that had stopped me began to fade. That's when I realized, simple words are the bridge to fluency. You can't jump to big sentences if you don't know how to walk with small ones. Every day, I practiced small groups of words. For example, one day I used the word want. I said, I want water. I want to sleep. I want to learn English. The next day, I used like. I like books. I like apples. I like learning. These small patterns helped me think directly in English. I wasn't translating from my native language anymore. I was thinking and speaking naturally. That's when I began to feel free. I remember one funny moment. I was in a shop, and the shopkeeper asked me something in English. I didn't understand everything, but I caught one word, bag. I smiled and said, yes, I want bag. It was a simple, imperfect sentence, but it worked. He understood me. I got what I needed. That day, I realized that communication matters more than perfection. People understand simple English easily. The goal is not to sound smart. The goal is to be understood. Many learners wait until they know big grammar rules before speaking. That's the biggest mistake. Imagine trying to run before you can walk. You fall, you get hurt, and you give up. But if you start with small steps, you can go far. In English, small words are your steps. When you use them daily, you move forward with confidence. You begin to feel that English is not an exam, it's a tool for life. I also found a fun trick that worked for me. Every morning, I chose 5 easy words and made small sentences with them. I said them out loud while brushing my teeth, cooking, or walking. For example, I am happy. I am tired. I am learning. I am ready. Just 5 minutes of this practice changed my speaking speed. I stopped pausing too long. Words started to come out naturally. You see, fluency doesn't come from big vocabulary lists. It comes from using simple words daily until they become your habit. Over time, my sentences became longer. Not because I memorized them, but because I grew comfortable with small ones. I added small details. I eat rice became I eat rice every morning. Then I eat rice every morning because I like it. Step by step, my English grew. I didn't even notice when short sentences turned into big ones. That's the beauty of simplicity. It grows without pressure. When I talk to my students now, I always tell them, speak like a child first. A child doesn't care about grammar. A child just says what they feel. That's why children learn faster than adults. They don't wait to be perfect. They just talk. You can do the same. Say what you can, not what you can't. Fluency starts with courage, not with rules. Suosin. So, from today, forget about sounding perfect. Start with small, real words. Talk about your life. I am eating breakfast. I feel sleepy. I like music. It is hot today. These sentences may look simple, but they are the foundation of your English house. Without them, nothing stands. With them, everything grows. You don't need to speak like a native speaker. You just need to speak like yourself, in English. One word, one sentence, one small step, every day. That's the easy way to talk in English. And in the next chapter, I'll tell you how to practice those small sentences, even when you're alone, using the most powerful method I discovered, talking to yourself in English. You'll see how this simple trick can turn your fear into confidence, and your silence into fluency. Chapter 4. Talk to yourself, your best practice partner. When I tell people to talk to themselves in English, they usually laugh. They think I'm joking, but honestly, this was one of the most powerful things I ever did to improve my English. I didn't have anyone to practice with. My friends were busy, my teachers couldn't be there all the time, and my confidence was too low to speak with strangers. So I started speaking to the one person who was always around, me. At first it felt strange. I looked around to make sure nobody was watching. Then I whispered a few words to myself. I am learning English. It was a small sentence, but it made me smile. I said it again, louder this time. I am learning English. That small sentence was the beginning of my fluency. I didn't know it then, but I had just found my best practice partner, myself. Talking to yourself works because there is no fear. Nobody is judging you. Nobody is correcting you harshly. You can make mistakes, repeat words, or sound funny. It doesn't matter. The goal is not perfection. The goal is expression. And when you remove fear, your tongue begins to move freely. You start to speak faster, smoother, and more naturally. I used to talk to myself everywhere, in my room, in front of the mirror, while cooking, walking, or brushing my teeth. I described what I was doing. I am washing my hands. I am making tea. I am feeling sleepy. It was so simple, yet it trained my brain to think in English. Soon, I didn't need to translate anymore. English started to come out naturally, because I was living it, not just studying it. One day, I stood in front of the mirror and started talking about my day in English. I told my reflection how I woke up late, how my teacher gave me homework, how I wanted to watch a movie. At first, I spoke slowly. Then my words started to flow. I smiled, laughed, even acted out small stories. My reflection became my audience. The mirror didn't care if I made mistakes. It just listened. That freedom gave me confidence that no book ever could. Sometimes, I practiced emotions too. I said happy sentences with a smile. I am proud of myself today. Then I tried sad sentences. I am tired. I don't feel good. This taught me that English is not just about words, it's about feeling. When you put emotion in your words, your speaking becomes alive. You don't sound like a robot anymore. You sound human, real, and confident. Self-talk also helped me learn new vocabulary faster. When I didn't know a word, I looked it up and used it right away. For example, one day I learned the word beautiful. I said, "The sky is beautiful today. My room is beautiful. This song is beautiful." By repeating it in different sentences, I remembered it easily. That's how I built my vocabulary, not by memorizing lists, but by using words in my real life. The best part about talking to yourself is that you can do it anytime, anywhere. You don't need a classroom or a partner. You don't need permission. You can practice while walking to work, cooking dinner, or looking out the window. Just describe what you see. There is a tree. The birds are singing. I like the sound of the wind. Every sentence you speak is a small step toward fluency. At first, you might feel silly. You might think, people will think I'm crazy. But remember, nobody becomes fluent by being silent. You learn by speaking, even if the first person you speak to is yourself. So, don't worry about what others think. You're not crazy. You're smart. You're doing what fluent speakers secretly do. You're training your brain to think and respond in English automatically. One day, something amazing happened. I met a tourist who asked me for directions. Without thinking, I answered in English. My words came naturally, like I had practiced that moment 100 times, and I had, in my room, talking to myself. That's when I realized that self-talk is not just practice, it's preparation for the real world. Now, when students tell me I don't have anyone to practice English with, I smile and say, "You already do. You have yourself." Start today. Look around and describe your world in English. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about how you feel. Talk about your plans. Even if it's only 1 minute a day, that minute is powerful. Every word you speak to yourself is building your fluency quietly inside you. Talking to yourself isn't just practice, it's transformation. It teaches you to think, feel, and express in English. It builds confidence from the inside out. So, the next time you're alone, don't stay silent. Speak. Say something small. Say something real. That's how fluency begins. And in the next chapter, I'll share how one small change made this practice even stronger. When I started using a mirror, you'll see how your own reflection can become your teacher, your listener, and your biggest supporter in speaking English confidently. Chapter 5. The Mirror Changed Everything. The first time I spoke to the mirror, I felt shy. I stood there, looking at myself, and I didn't know what to say. My reflection looked back at me like it was waiting. My heart was beating fast, and my hands were a little cold. It felt strange, talking to myself, in English, in front of the mirror, but something told me this could be the beginning of something powerful. I took a deep breath and said, "Hi, how are you?" My reflection smiled back. For the first time, I saw what I looked like when I spoke English. I could see my expressions, my mouth, my confidence, or sometimes, my fear. The mirror became more than just a piece of glass. It became my teacher. It showed me everything: how I looked when I hesitated, how I sounded when I was brave, how I improved little by little every day. In the beginning, I only spoke short sentences. I am learning English. I am doing my best. I can speak. I repeated them again and again. I watched my mouth move. I practiced the sound of every word. I realized that when I looked into my own eyes and spoke, I felt something new: connection. I wasn't just saying words, I was talking to myself with belief. Every time I practiced, I saw a version of me that was growing stronger. Soon, I began to enjoy it. I made it part of my daily routine. Before school, I stood in front of the mirror for 5 minutes and talked. Sometimes, I told stories about my day. Sometimes I asked questions and answered them myself. How are you today? I'm good, thank you. What are your plans? I will study and practice English. I laughed at my own mistakes, corrected myself, and kept going. Slowly, the mirror practice started changing me from the inside. What surprised me most was how quickly my fear disappeared. When I looked into the mirror, I saw no one judging me. There was no teacher to correct me, no classmate to laugh. Just me, the learner, and the teacher, standing together. The mirror didn't care if I pronounced something wrong. It didn't care if my grammar was bad. It only reflected effort. That's when I realized the mirror is the most honest and kind teacher in the world. I remember one morning, I looked at my reflection and said, "You can do this." My voice was soft at first. Then I said it again, louder, "You can do this." My reflection smiled back, and for a moment, I believed it completely. From that day, I made a small rule for myself. Every time I looked in the mirror, I had to say one sentence in English. Sometimes, it was "I am confident." Sometimes, it was "I am improving every day." Those sentences became my daily affirmations. They didn't just improve my English, they changed my mindset. Speaking in front of the mirror also helped me understand how I sounded to others. I noticed my pronunciation, my facial expressions, and even my body language. I practiced smiling while speaking, because a smile makes your English sound friendlier. I practiced using my hands to express feelings, because real communication is not only about words, it's about energy. And I started to enjoy watching myself become more natural, more expressive, and more alive. One time, I even recorded myself while speaking to the mirror. When I watched the video later, I felt proud. A few months earlier, I could barely say my name is Adam. Now, I was speaking full sentences, explaining things, sharing feelings. Of course, there were still mistakes, but they didn't hurt anymore. They felt like steps on my journey, necessary and beautiful. The mirror showed me not just how I spoke, but how far I had come. When you practice in front of a mirror, something amazing happens. You stop seeing English as a subject and start seeing it as a part of yourself. You build a relationship with your own voice. You learn to trust it. You learn that your voice matters, even if it's quiet, even if it's not perfect. That moment, when you can look at your reflection and say, "I can speak English," is the moment your journey truly begins. So if you're learning English and don't know where to start with your mirror. Stand there, smile, and say something simple. It could be, "I am learning," or "I am proud of myself." It doesn't matter how small the sentence is. What matters is that you speak. The mirror will listen. The mirror will reflect your effort, your courage, and your growth. Don't be afraid of your reflection. It's your best friend in this journey. Every word you say in front of that mirror makes you more confident for the world outside it. The day you can look at yourself and say, "I am fluent," that's the day your mirror will smile back and say, "Yes, you are." And in the next chapter, I'll tell you how I stopped fearing mistakes completely, and how every wrong word I spoke became a step toward real fluency. You'll learn why mistakes aren't something to avoid, but something to celebrate. Chapter 6. Mistakes are your real teachers. For a long time, I was afraid of mistakes. Every time I said something wrong in English, I felt small. My face got hot, my heart beat fast, and I wished I could disappear. I thought mistakes meant I was bad at English. I thought they showed I wasn't smart enough. But I was wrong. Mistakes were not my enemies. They were my teachers, the best teachers I ever had. When I first started speaking, I wanted every sentence to be perfect. I thought if I made one mistake, people would laugh. I thought everyone would judge me. So, I stayed quiet. I listened, but I didn't speak. And because I didn't speak, I didn't improve. My English stayed the same. Then one day, something simple changed everything. My teacher said, "Adam, if you never make mistakes, it means you're not learning." That sentence hit me deeply. I realized silence was my real mistake. After that, I decided to try something new. I promised myself that I would not be afraid of mistakes anymore. I would make them, learn from them, and move forward. The first few times were hard. I still felt embarrassed when I said something wrong. But the more I practiced, the less it hurt. The truth is, everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. The only difference is, they don't stop speaking because of them. I remember one day, I was talking to a tourist. I wanted to say, "I'm very excited to meet you," but I accidentally said, "I'm very excited to meet you." We both laughed. For a moment, I felt shy. But then the tourist smiled and said, "Don't worry, your English is good, Alish." That small moment taught me something powerful. People don't care about your mistakes as much as you think they do. Most people are kind. They appreciate your effort. They see your courage, not your errors. After that day, I stopped trying to sound perfect. I focused on being real. I spoke freely, even if my grammar wasn't right. Sometimes, I said things in a funny way, but people still understood me. And that's the goal of language, to connect, not to impress. The more I spoke, the more I improved. My mistakes became my practice. Every time I said something wrong, I remembered it better next time. You see, when you make a mistake, your brain learns faster. It feels the difference between right and wrong, and saves that lesson deep inside. It's like touching something hot. You learn instantly. The same happens with English. Every wrong word, every wrong tense, every funny pronunciation, they all help you remember what's right next time. That's why mistakes are not problems, they are lessons in disguise. Sometimes, I even turned my mistakes into a game. I kept a small notebook and called it my mistake diary. Whenever I said something wrong, I wrote it down. Then I looked up the correct version and practiced it. After a few days, I tried using that sentence again in conversation. When I got it right, it felt amazing, like winning a small victory. The mistake that once made me nervous now became my teacher. I also started noticing how other learners made mistakes too. And you know what? I didn't think they were bad speakers. I thought they were brave. That made me realize other people probably saw me the same way. They didn't care about my small errors, they cared that I was trying. That thought gave me freedom. The fear of being judged slowly disappeared. Now, when I look back, I feel grateful for every mistake I made. If I had waited to be perfect, I would still be silent. But because I made mistakes, I found my voice. I discovered what fluency really means, not perfect English, but fearless English. I learned that fluency is not about speaking without mistakes. It's about speaking through them. Here's what I want you to remember. Every fluent speaker you admire once made the same mistakes you're making now. They just didn't stop. They laughed at their errors, learned from them, and kept going. You can do the same. Next time you make a mistake, don't feel bad. Smile. Say thank you, teacher, because that mistake just taught you something no textbook ever could. So, if you want to talk easily in English, make more mistakes. Speak more. Try more. Don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect time to speak. Every time you speak, even with errors, you're moving closer to fluency. Every mistake you make brings you one step closer to confidence. And remember, nobody remembers your mistakes. They remember your smile, your effort, your courage. That's what makes your English beautiful. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the magic of fluency. You'll learn how to think in English instead of translating from your native language. This is where speaking truly becomes natural, where English starts to live inside your thoughts. Chapter 7. Think in English. Don't translate. For a long time, every sentence I spoke started in my native language. I would think in my language first, then try to turn it into English. But by the time I found the right words, the conversation had already moved on. I always felt one step behind. I knew what I wanted to say, but my brain was busy translating. That's when I realized translation is not fluency. Thinking in English is. In the beginning, I didn't even know what thinking in English really meant. It sounded difficult, almost impossible. How can someone just think in another language? But I started to notice something small. When I practiced self-talk and mirror speaking, some words came to me faster. I didn't have to translate them anymore. I just said them. I am hungry. It's cold. I like it. They came naturally. That's when I understood. Thinking in English starts with small moments, not big lessons. I decided to make it a habit. Every morning, when I woke up, I tried to describe my world in English, even inside my head. I'm waking up now. I feel sleepy. The room is bright. At first, I had to push myself. I still thought in my language sometimes. But day by day, English began to appear in my mind on its own. I realized my brain was learning to switch languages naturally, like a light turning on. One of the best things I did was naming everything around me in English. When I picked up my phone, I said phone. When I drank water, I said water. When I saw the sky, I said sky. These small actions made English part of my thoughts. I wasn't just studying it, I was living it. And slowly, my brain stopped needing to translate. English words started to feel like mine. There was a time when I used to translate every sentence in my head. I would think, how do I say this in English? And that small delay made me nervous. But when I started thinking directly in English, everything changed. My sentences became faster, my speaking became smoother, and my confidence grew stronger. Thinking in English is like unlocking a door in your mind. Behind it is real fluency. At first, I made it a small game. During the day, I picked 1 hour where I tried to think only in English. If I saw people walking, I told myself, they are walking. If I felt tired, I thought, I need to rest. If I was hungry, I thought, I want to eat. The sentences were simple, but the habit was powerful. My brain was learning a new way to live in English. I also started asking myself questions in English. What time is it? What should I do next? Do I like this? And then, I answered myself also in English. It felt strange at first, but soon it became natural. My mind was becoming bilingual. I didn't have to tell it what to do anymore. It just started working in English automatically. You see, the biggest reason people stay stuck is not because they don't know English. It's because they don't think in English. They are always translating, always comparing, always checking if it's right or wrong. But the truth is, your brain doesn't want rules, it wants rhythm. It learns best through feelings and repetition. When you think in English daily, you train your mind to build automatic sentences without effort. I remember one moment that proved this to me. I was reading an English story, and I suddenly laughed at a joke before realizing what had happened. I didn't translate it in my language first, I just understood it. That moment was special. It showed me that English was no longer outside me, it was part of me. Thinking in English also helped me speak faster. I stopped pausing after every few words. My sentences became smoother because they came directly from my thoughts, not from translation. And my confidence grew. I wasn't afraid of forgetting words because English was already living in my mind. It wasn't something I had to reach for anymore. It was right there. If you want to train your mind to think in English, start with your small daily life. Don't wait for the perfect day. Describe your morning, your food, your plans, even your emotions. Use easy sentences like, I am happy today. The food is good. I have a meeting. Do it every day. The more you do it, the less you'll translate. And remember, it's okay if you sometimes switch back to your language. It happens to everyone. The goal is not to be perfect, it's to practice. The more you practice, the faster your brain will switch to English by itself. One day, you'll realize that you're thinking, planning, and even dreaming in English, without trying. Thinking in English is not a skill you study, it's a habit you build. It's quiet, invisible, and slow, but it's powerful. Once it begins, you'll never go back to translating again. And in the next chapter, we'll talk about the most powerful secret of all, speaking every single day, even if it's just one sentence. You'll see how daily practice, even for 5 minutes, can change your entire English journey. Chapter 8. Speak every day, even if it's just one sentence. I used to believe that fluency came from studying for hours. I thought I had to spend long nights memorizing words or reading grammar books to get better. But one day, I discovered something far simpler, something that truly changed my English forever. It wasn't about how much time I studied, it was about how often I spoke. Even one sentence a day was enough to keep my English alive. You see, your brain loves consistency. It doesn't need long, painful lessons. It just needs small daily signals that say, this matters. When you speak English every day, even for a few minutes, your mind stays connected to the language. It doesn't forget. It grows slowly but strongly, like a small tree watered every morning. At first, I didn't understand this. There were days I practiced for 3 hours, and then I stopped for a week. Every time I came back, it felt like starting from zero again. I forgot words, lost confidence, and needed more time to warm up. Then I tried something new. I decided to speak English every single day, no matter what. Some days I spoke for 15 minutes, other days for just one sentence. But I never skipped a day. That's when real progress began. I remember one morning I was too tired to study. My mind said, just skip today. But my heart said, say one sentence. So I stood up, looked out the window, and said softly, it's a beautiful day. That was it. Just 5 words. But it made me feel proud. I had kept my promise. And that's what daily practice is really about. Not perfection, but promise. You build trust with yourself. The next day, I said 2 sentences, then 3. Slowly, English became a part of my daily rhythm, like brushing my teeth or drinking water. It wasn't a big task anymore. It was something natural. The more I spoke, the easier it became. My tongue felt free, my fear disappeared, and English started to flow. You don't need to wait for a long study session. You can practice anytime, while walking, cooking, or waiting for the bus. Talk about what you see. The sky is clear. I am going to work. I'm hungry. These small sentences are your training. They keep your English muscles strong. Just like the gym, small daily exercise beats heavy training once in a while. Sometimes, I recorded my voice for 1 minute a day. I didn't judge it. I just spoke and saved it. A few months later, I listened to my old recordings. I was shocked. My voice sounded more confident. My words were clearer. I was not speaking fast, but I was speaking freely, and that freedom felt beautiful. Many learners make one big mistake. They wait for the right mood to speak. They wait for confidence, for time, for a teacher, for perfection. But that day never comes. You create confidence by speaking, not by waiting. Every day you speak, even if it's just 1 sentence, you're training your courage. You're telling your fear, I'm still here. Even on bad days, speak something small. It could be I feel tired today, or I don't want to study. That's still English. It's still progress. Because the secret to fluency is not big effort, it's small effort repeated daily. After a few months of daily speaking, something amazing happened. I stopped counting my words. I stopped worrying about grammar. I just spoke naturally. My brain didn't need to warm up anymore. It was ready all the time. That's what daily speaking does. It keeps your English awake. You may think, how can 1 sentence make a difference? But that 1 sentence is a seed. Tomorrow, it becomes 2, then 5, then a paragraph. Before you know it, you're speaking freely without fear. The hardest part is not speaking, it's showing up. Once you show up, the words follow. So, make a small promise to yourself today. Speak 1 sentence in English out loud. It can be simple. I am learning. I am strong. I can do this. Say it with belief. Then tomorrow, say another one. Don't stop. Don't skip. Because every small sentence you speak builds a big result inside you. Fluency is not about doing more. It's about doing something every day. Speak English like you breathe naturally, daily, without pressure. Let your voice become your teacher. And in the next chapter, we'll see how all of these habits come together, how daily practice, mistakes, and courage make English not just your language, but your lifestyle. It's time to turn practice into power and English into confidence. Chapter 9. The easy way becomes your way. There was a time when English felt like a mountain I could never climb. Every word felt heavy, every sentence felt impossible. I used to look at fluent speakers and think, they must be special. Maybe English is easy for them, but not for me. But now, when I look back, I smile. Because the truth is, there was no secret, no magic, no shortcut. The easy way to talk in English was not hidden anywhere. It was built inside me, step by step. It started with small courage, just listening. Then saying 1 small word, then 1 short sentence. Then talking to myself, talking to the mirror, and talking without fear of mistakes. None of these steps were big, but together, they changed everything. Every day, I moved a little closer. Every word I spoke became a stone in the bridge between silence and fluency. Now, when I speak English, I don't think about grammar first. I don't worry about rules. I just talk. I express. I share. I feel free. English is not a subject to me anymore. It's a part of my life. It's in my thoughts, my dreams, my daily routine. I use it to learn, to laugh, to connect with people around the world. That's when I realized something beautiful. English stopped being my goal. It became my voice. I want you to remember something very important. English is not about being perfect. It's about being brave. The easy way is not about studying harder. It's about practicing smarter. It's about turning fear into curiosity, mistakes into lessons, and small efforts into daily habits. When you do that, English stops being a struggle and starts being your strength. There were days when I didn't feel motivated, days when I thought, maybe I'm not improving. But even then, I kept going. I spoke one sentence. I listened for 5 minutes. I looked in the mirror and said, I can do this. And every time I kept that promise, my confidence grew quietly. Fluency doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens slowly, secretly, every single day you refuse to give up. You see, the easy way was never about learning faster. It was about learning lighter. It was about enjoying the journey. Once I stopped chasing perfection and started enjoying the process, everything became easier. Listening felt fun. Speaking felt natural. Even mistakes felt okay. I was finally learning like a child, free, curious, fearless. And maybe that's the real secret. Fluency is not something you reach one day and stop. It's something you live. Every conversation, every story, every small word you speak adds to your journey. And one day, without realizing it, you'll wake up and think, I can speak English. It's easy now. That's when you'll know, the easy way has become your way. So, if you're watching this right now, wondering if you can do it, yes, you can. You already have everything you need. You have your voice. You have your time. You have your courage. All you need to do is begin. Start small. Speak daily. Make mistakes proudly. Talk to yourself, to your mirror, to the world. Don't wait to feel ready. Read, listen, laugh, and speak in English every single day. There will be moments when you'll doubt yourself, moments when you'll feel stuck. But in those moments, remember this. The first word you say matters more than the 100 you never do. Keep speaking, even when it feels hard. Keep going, even when progress feels slow. Because one day, your English will surprise you. One day, you'll speak without fear, and that day will be the result of every small effort you make today. I began my journey scared and silent. Now I speak with confidence and peace. And if I can do it, so can you. The easy way to talk in English is not about talent, it's about trust. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust that every word you speak brings you closer to the fluent, confident version of yourself that's waiting inside. This is your time. Your English journey doesn't start tomorrow. It starts right now. Open your mouth. Say something small, something true. Maybe I can learn. Maybe I will try. That's your beginning. Keep it alive every single day. And soon, you won't just speak English. You'll live it. If this story inspired you, then don't stop here. Start today. Speak one sentence out loud right now in the comments. It could be, I am learning English, or I can speak English easily. Hit like if you felt motivated, and subscribe to my channel for more videos that make English simple, fun, and real. You have the power to speak, you just have to start using it. Your easy way begins today.